you're okay. Is it try to reload it because I just told it to go live, so it wasn't broadcasting, which was the problem. Which explains why I didn't have any thing. Oh man, 15 minutes late. Whoops. I, buttons are important to process or press. Okay, cool. All right, now that I've done all of that, I'm late now. I was early and now I'm late. Thank you, Abby, for helping me with that. It's always good to have another person there. Okay, so I just ran into an issue where apparently I wasn't broadcasting initially, so my stream wasn't live. So now we're actually starting Organisms 1. The leading view is not there anymore. And whoops! So here we are. Welcome to Organisms 1. Oh, that it's. Welcome to Organisms 1. Sorry, we're fixing some lighting issues because it's very dark in here. But yeah, I wasn't broadcasting initially, so now I'm broadcasting, so it'll actually be working correctly. Sorry about the late start. That was entirely my fault. But it's been almost a year since I've done a live performance, so that's yeah. Man, I was so formal in the beginning, and I've just totally lost all of that. But that's kind of my vibe. I'm not a very formal person in any capacity. So let's dive into it. Organisms 1 is a series of tracks, 7 tracks, that I put together on the Electron Tonwerk right here, completely just on this one synthesizer. It is my return to music. It's my start as Mother Dear, and this is my first performance as Mother Dear, and my first performance in almost a year, which is why we had some technical difficulties to start off with. But these tracks are very special to me because they represent something I thought I had lost, and possibly for good, and I was very scared of that fact. I've been doing music a long time. I started doing music production almost 12 years ago, back in high school, putting together tracks for friends and recording things and learning audio engineering. I started as a published musician 6 or 7 years ago, and I started Aboleth like 5 years ago. And throughout that whole process, I learned, because that's what you do. And at the beginning, it felt so new, it felt so fresh. It was like everything I was doing was speaking to me in such a new way because it was all about discovery. But as I learned, as I grew, as I continued to get more knowledgeable and more skilled in what I was doing, especially in sound design, it stopped feeling like that. And it didn't feel like I was discovering things because everything I was doing was so calculated. It was so focused. I knew exactly what I could get out of putting something into. As a sound designer, I would say that's my biggest skill in music is as a sound designer. And I got to a point where I could break down any sound into anything that I heard, and I could figure out how to piece it back together in a pretty quick amount of time. And so that makes the magic kind of go away. And the magic is why I do this. I love that portion of it. And the technical side, the computer side, all of that. I don't like that. It's boring. It's cumbersome. So getting back with the Tonwerk, this device that can make an entire piece of music just on its own, felt very freeing. And in that freedom, I started to create these tracks that felt like they were speaking to me. And I am live. I fixed it. These tracks were speaking to me, and in a way they were telling me what they needed to become. I would put an input, I would maybe come up with a sound or a melody or something that fit, and as I was working on it, it just started to build in front of me, and it started to tell me what it needed, almost like any other organism would. Like a plant, you can tell if you watered a plant too much or too little or just enough. It'll respond. It gives you this visual response and this chemical response because organisms are reactive. That's like the main factor of an organism is the reactive portion of it. And so working on this music, it felt very reactive, like I was giving it water and it was telling me too much, too little, or just enough. So all 7 of these tracks ended up getting collected together into Organisms 1. It's called Organisms 1 not because I'm planning on having an Organisms 2 or 3, like I don't have plans for those projects, but those are projects I highly anticipate happening, because this experience with music is exactly what I'm chasing. It's exactly what I've been looking for. And I highly expect there to be another batch of tracks that I feel perfectly confident putting together into another series of organisms. So that would be Organisms 2. It's not that I have a plan for it now, it's just I know that Organisms 2 or 3 or 4 or however many, I'm going to be doing this a long time, are going to happen down the road. So that's the shtick of it. All of that said, I'm going to start with a track called Wecken, a piece about solitude. And all of these tracks have sort of subtitles to them, so Weckens is a sort of solitude. So it fits very, very well into that. So this is Wecken. That's weird. I don't know what just happened here. Odd. We'll fix that. shake off the cobwebs of doing that twice in a row. That was Wecken. I really like that one, especially as an opening. It's just very weird and soft. But like I said, we're just getting started. That is the first of many weirds. So this next one is Bell Score. Bell Score is a really important track to me. It's one of the tracks that broke itself, and I had to rebuild. I didn't have to rebuild this one from scratch. That was the other one, but I had to rebuild it, and it very much was demoralizing of an experience. I wasn't sure if I was going to be ready in time for the performance. I'm happy to say that I was, and I got it back to where it had been, but it definitely was very worrying for me to deal with. So, yeah. And it also is very important because it inspired the next project that I worked on called Forgotten Fields, which also will have a performance once I finish putting that together. But that was the second project that I worked on. Bell Score had a lot of ideas in it that I felt like I couldn't properly express or explore in just the one piece. And it has the subtitle Far Afield, which then inspired Forgotten Fields, this idea of places that tend to be left behind. So this is Bell Score, and it's very open and foreign in a lot of ways, but familiar in others. We are 2 in, and I turned that up way too high. So that was Bellsquare or Farfield, and yeah, I just love how open and spacious of a piece that is. This next one is the other one I had to rebuild. Basically from scratch. I had to put together almost every single kit a second time and half the instruments. I had like 2 effects that had stayed in space, and the rest of it was just gone. So I completely remade this track. It's called Crater, and it's all about fear and the more dark, negative feelings in life. But not necessarily in a bad way. It's more of a productive direction of it. I would say that that's probably kind of the theme with all of these pieces, is that they're very productive in their direction of exploring emotions, positive or negative. So this is Crater. And I thoroughly enjoyed performing this piece. It's a lot of fun. that was Crater. Really trying to get the mic volume adjusted to where it needs to be here. That was Crater, and that, like I said, is a really fun piece to perform and jam out to, and that's where it came from. Actually, is I had made it, and I have a tendency to kind of make pieces that I jam out on for a while, and then I just delete them, or don't save them, because I don't necessarily need to hold on to that idea, but I enjoyed it in the moment. And this was kind of one of those pieces initially. I was working on it, and I really enjoyed jamming out on it for a while, and then I left it, but I was like, I'm going to save it. This feels like a Crater, I'm going to name it Crater, and so I named it Crater, and I saved it, and then I went on to other projects, and I went through like 4 or 5 tracks where I was just like, nah, this ain't it, and then moved on to the next thing. And the whole time I just kept feeling pulled back to this jam that I had been doing called Crater, and eventually I went back to it and I started working on it, and I like fleshed it out as this full track, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Actually, this is so Organism that it literally pulled me back in. It kept screaming my name and wanting me to work on it, so I did. And it's followed up by Larson, or Melt, which is a track that's almost entirely made out of sounds from a glacier shelf that's called the Larson Ice Shelf, and I got a bunch of recordings from that, and it's it just made me think about our melting, dying world, and all of those fun, angry feelings, and it ended up becoming this very angry piece. There's a lot of rage in it, but it was productive rage, which is really therapeutic for me, because I've always had a problem with anger, and I feel like it's a dirty, negative, bad emotion that produces nothing good. And so this was a really good outlet of like letting that anger out in a good, productive, progressive direction, and yeah, very therapeutic. But here is Melt, and I hope you enjoy it. year. Um, that was Larson or Melt. I kind of use those titles way more interchangeably than I should have. So everything has a subtitle, but obviously all of the titles of these tracks are a little weird, and that came from, honestly, it wasn't intentional at all. And we'll get to the first track that started that trend. But over time, what it became was this feeling that these are organic beings, these are creations, these have a life of their own, they tell me what they want. And so because of that, it felt like they needed names, not just track names like I normally would give something. And the names needed to not be, like, I can't just name a song Michael, that's weird. So I started coming up with these random words, like whatever word felt like it fit that project. And Larson obviously comes from the Larson Ice Shelf, so that makes a lot of sense. That's where it was born, that's where the sounds came from. But the other tracks like Wecken and Belsquar, and this upcoming one, Sumbat, those are all these very foreign type made up names that I gave them that felt very fitting for that project or that track. And this next one, Sumbat, is also called A Meditation on the Tolling of Bells, which is a project I worked on a long time ago. And this inspired a lot of the same ideas and feelings that did. And it capitalized on a lot of the same ideas. And I've realized now that you really can't see my face anymore, so sorry about that. We might fix it at the end, but right now it doesn't matter. You don't need to see my face. I'll just be a black void up here. So this is Sumbat, and it's a very meditative piece, as would be hearkened by the subtitle, A Meditation on the Tolling of Bells. So if you're into that, maybe meditate with me. We are about to hit the part of my rehearsals where I always go, I'm missing something, but I'm not missing something. Seven's just a really weird number for me for putting projects together. It just feels like there should be one more. But there's not. So I always get a little tripped up after 5. This next track, Falsk, is the first of the Organisms, and the second piece that I ever worked on the Tonwerk, actually. I had just gotten it. I was working on another idea that gave me a lot of familiarity, but wasn't quite something I wanted to fully flesh out, and I felt like it got away from me. And so I decided to take on some new ideas, new device, new ideas, new techniques, right? And I was extraordinarily stressed at that point in my life. I had a lot going on, and I could not handle it for a little bit. But I sat down and I was working on this, and this is where it became the first Organism. There was something in the piece that just kept telling me the same thing over and over and over again the whole time I worked on it, which was just breathe. There is silence and peace everywhere. In every bit of noise, in every chaotic moment, there is silence. It's where it lives, is underneath the noise, not outside of it, but underneath it. And if you focus, if you pay attention, between every breath, there is a moment of peace and silence. So if you remind yourself to just breathe, it makes everything a lot more manageable, especially your own self. And that's what I needed in that moment, and it felt like it was crying that out to me. So as we go into the final stretch here, as we go into Falsk, I encourage you to join me and listen to this track and just breathe. So this is the final track. I hope you enjoyed Faust. I know I did, as always. This is the final track, Iesu. And Iesu is a very fun track for me. Another one of those that I wasn't totally sure what to expect going into it, and was pleasantly surprised once I got there. So I am very, very excited to be performing this and to be capping out the performance on this. It's going to be a good time. So this is the final track of Organisms I, Iesu. That's the set. Yeah, that I love performing that. I've loved every second of rehearsing that. It's been a lot of fun. Let me make sure that I can actually hear myself. Without the headphones, I'm crippled. Yeah, you guys can hear me. We're all good. Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoy that whole set. It's, again, been almost a year since I performed, and it feels so good to be back doing it again. I missed this so much. I didn't realize how much I craved it and needed it on a regular basis. Which brings me to what I talked about at the beginning of the show. Oh, I can't remember if it was the first beginning or the second beginning. Oh no, because I started it and I didn't hit the start button. Whatever. Well, I might have talked about it, I might not have. But future updates, and that's kind of what I wanted to cover here at the end of the show, because I didn't want to bog down the beginning, so anybody who's interested can stay, and anybody who's not can go. You guys are free. Yeah, you were free the whole time. I can't control what you do. I'm really happy that you came, though. I'm really happy that anybody showed up, and that all of you showed up. Like, it's, yes, I love this. So, future updates and the plans coming down the line. I obviously recently have just been working with Thomas, the Tonverk. That's his name. I call him Thomas. And that's the only instrument I really have. I have some pedals, I have guitar. I don't really want to touch the guitar right now just because I think I burned myself out on it so hard by trying to focus on the guitar, which brings me to the next part of this. So I was really trying to get back into the keyboard workflow, and I wanted to get a piano and focus on keyboard and everything, until I made a discovery last week where I realized that part of my whole process in the past couple years of, like, I'm going to stop using keyboards so much, I'm going to learn another instrument, was it was a cry for help. And I freed myself from a prison that I didn't know I was trapped in, which was having the keyboard as the main focus of my workflow, and it was developing in a way that was kind of causing problems with me doing sound engineering and producing the kind of music that I wanted to make. So getting away from that and realizing that now, I'm focusing more on sound design and sculpting and this much more organic process of making music. So as I build out the rig from the Tonverk, I'm going to expand into some other devices, one of which is actually coming here shortly. Although, in the beginning of this next step, as we go into this new season, the Tonverk is going to take a bit of a backseat for a little bit. So I've kind of wrapped up project work on Forgotten Fields for the time being. I don't know if I'm going to add more tracks to that in the future, or if it'll just stay with the ones that it has, which would be, I don't know if I'm going to call it Temple, but I call it Temple right now. Temple, Tower, Shore, and Grove, as well as one that I called Query. And those 5 are kind of wrapped up together. They're all more or less ready to go in terms of performance and recording and everything. All the work is done on them. But I tried to wrap that up so that for this next couple of weeks, I can really focus on this new piece of the puzzle, this new device that I've never worked with. I've never worked with this company's devices before, or that workflow, so I'm going to be getting much more familiar with it over time, and I really want to hone in on it, just like I did with the Tonverk whenever I first got it. So the music production is going to shift in a lot of ways to whatever that looks like. And in addition, I have a very, very exciting project that I am working on for someone else that I was asked to do sound design for. And I'm very, very excited about that project. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it is not my project, so I can't release any information. All I can say is that I'm very excited to be working on it. I was very honored to be asked to do that, and this processor that I have coming in is going to be perfect for that project. So for the next week or two, I'll probably be focusing really hard on getting that done, because I don't want to leave him waiting. And I've already left him waiting for like a week, and I feel bad about that. But the music production might slow a little bit, which is good. It gives me a breather, it gives me a break from everything I've already done. And it'll give me new horizons. This will lead into new types of music. I'm also getting back into video work, which both the Tonverk and this new device are going to be fantastic for, especially doing field videos, performances in field areas, like out of the house, not in my dining room, which is where I am right now, is just in my dining room. I took my desk and my plants and I put them right here, and that's where we are. So instead of performing in my dining room, I'm going to be making videos and be performing out in nature, which is one of my favorite places to be doing music, is in nature, and this is perfect for that. So that's really exciting to be making those videos. I'm working on some animated things that I'm trying to put together that's going to be slow going, because I'm old school and I refuse to not be old school. So I'm doing it hand drawn, which is really time consuming, especially if you don't do it the right way. And yeah, so I've got a lot of projects that are kind of in the works and that are looking to be coming down soon. Like I said, Forgotten Fields, once I get back to working with the Tonverk, I'm kind of done with the sound design project that I'm working on, and I've familiarized myself with the new device. I'll be finishing up Forgotten Fields and putting that out as another performance. And I'll also be working on recording and finalizing everything in Organisms I for my first release. And there will be more information about what that first release is going to look like in the future. I have a lot. I have a lot of plans and a lot going on, and amazingly enough, for the first time in my life, I have a lot of plans and a lot going on, and I seem to be capitalizing on every opportunity and actually making all the plans happen, which is really, really cool. I've never had that level of dedication, even though I've always been very dedicated to doing this. I've never been able to pull it like that, and this is finally the point. I guess I've matured enough and grown enough to be able to do it. So we're here, and this is the next steps. So this was Organisms 1. For anybody who hung around for the update section, thank you so much for watching and joining me. And for anybody who didn't, still, thank you so much for watching and joining me here. I love to perform. This is one of my favorite things to do in life. Like, literally, it's the best form of music ever. It's direct connection between the artist and the listener, and I feel like, yeah, I just want to get back into doing this a lot more often. I used to have a goal of doing it